Thank you, Spider. Thank you, thank you. Mama Flabo! Are you ready for the fight? Are you ready for the war? Now, I remember Philip said to me once, I don't know what I said about him, but Bradley, your rep, knows me very well. And I think I said in the 2016 election something to upset Philip. So he said, you know, Fedee is 5'2". And he said that Fedee is 52 pounds. So the next night I went on the political platform and I said, Philip, you forget to say one thing. Fedee is 12 inches long. All right. We must be able to laugh about our politics. Mama Flabo, today I want to join all the voices that have congratulated the man I'll adopt him tonight as Brado. I sat in cabinets next to Brado. And what a lovely neighbor Brado was. When I didn't have a pen, I took Brado's pen. When I didn't have paper, I take Bradley's paper. And when I didn't have breakfast, I took all his sandwiches that his wife made for him as well. But Brado is such a caring and a lovely guy. And I'm sure that I was annoying to have as a neighbor because I took everything he had. Such a great man, such a great character. And so I'm telling you that I stand here tonight to endorse Brado as the man to run this seat for Choiseul Saltibus in the next election. So I see the Labour Party have some nonsense going around about Brado. That Brado all of a sudden is going to defect. And Brado this and Brado that. Let me tell you about the Brado I know. Brado is a decent man. Brado is not dead weight. Brado will never ever betray the people of Choiseul Saltibus. Never ever. That's the Bradley Felix I know. A man who came every day and fought for his constituency. A man who said, look, there were several ministers who promised the Saltibus road. There were several MPs who had given the people of Choiseul empty promises. In fact, at the time when we were coming into government, the previous Minister of Infrastructure was the now Prime Minister Philip J. Pear. And just before the general elections, he had a problem paying $650,000 to pay just to pothole the Saltibus road. But when Bradley Felix came into office, he convinced the Minister of Finance and the United Workers' Party cabinet to spend $15 million to give the people of Choiseul Saltibus the best road that the Choiseul Saltibus constituency has ever seen. That's the Brado I know. I remember him going with the then Minister of Agriculture because the fishermen in Choiseul had a problem with the fish landing facility. And Brado convinced the minister to come with him to Japan and to go and to convince the Japanese government that this project was necessary. This project, to my recollection, cost about 6 million Eastern Caribbean dollars because to Bradley, he didn't promise the fishermen that he was going to give them a rebate on excise tax. He delivered what he promised. He said that he was going to do the fish landing facility. And as a man in the true character that he is, he delivered for the fishermen of Choiseul Saltibus. The biggest housing development any minister has ever done in this constituency happened right down the road at Lafargue when Bradley Felix with Invest St. Lucia constructed the biggest and the highest quality housing development for the people here in Choiseul Saltibus. That's the man I know, not a man who crosses the floor. And so Philip, you can jump high, you can jump low. You will not get our Brado. Where is she? You will not get our Brado because Bradley Felix is a man of his word. When he tells you he is doing it, he is doing it. And so today, I stand proud to stay here in this constituency and give him my unrelenting support. Now, let me show you the opposite of the Labour Party. In the Parliament this week, we were debating the 2.5% tax. They call it the Health and Security Levy. And you would recall that while we were in government, the Ministry of Health, they said that they were going to put some rules that if someone was going to have a charcoal pit, that person just simply needed to apply. They said that there were people who were asthmatic, there were young babies in houses who were being affected by people randomly constructing charcoal pits. And we needed to have some regulation in place. We needed to have some order. Anyways, by putting out this regulation from the Ministry of Health, the Labour Party went and misled the people of St. Lucia that the United Workers' Party was going to tax the people for making charcoal. Y'all remember that? It was big news all over St. Lucia. Now, I bring with you a law that they have passed in the Parliament. And as a senator, I had to get a copy of the law. And on page 8 of this piece of legislation, one of the things that they're applying the 2.5% tax on is the same charcoal that they said that they were trying to protect. The same charcoal producers are being taxed 2.5%. That's the hypocrisy of the St. Lucia Labour Party. They do one thing in opposition, and when they're in government, they do another thing. Philip J. Prayer, so hot, Philip J. Prayer, you have no shame. This is the level of hypocrisy from the Labour Party. This is the level of double standard. Page 8 on their law, it says that charcoal are going to be taxed 2.5%. Hera told me the patwa or the shebo. I think I got that one right. Now here's the thing. When you tax the charcoal man, you are not just taxing the man who's making the charcoal. You are taxing the vendor who is buying from the man and barbecue chicken on a Friday night to send her children to school. That's who you are taxing. And so we had reason to tell them that this is a dangerous tax. That this tax was going to cause increased suffering in this country. We told them that food would be affected. They said no, that they have exempted food. But what did we see? A letter from KFC saying that because of the 2.5% tax, that KFC is increasing their prices. I took the notice to Parliament and I said, look, Madam President, there's a notice here from KFC. Lisa Jayawe or Jayawu or whatever her name is said that that's a false document, that KFC never put out that. Sector that's putting out letter. Just this week, I want to read you, in case you haven't seen it, that the National Housing Corporation has now informed their tenants that their rent is going to go up by 2.5% in this country. It's not just the private sector. It is also public sector institutions are indicating to ordinary customers like you and I that their cost is going to go up. When you tax the services on massive foods, When you tax security from Massey Foods, when you tax the servicing of Massey computers, when you tax the transportation, when you tax everything, their accounting services, when you tax all the things that Massey needs as a business, you are also taxing the food that Massey sells. And so this has a domino effect. This is a compounded tax that is only going to make the cost of living situation in this country that much more worse. And that's the problem that we confront today. We confront a government that doesn't understand the economy. But Mama Iflabo, bear with me, I must read you the letter from the NHC, lest they say that it's a fake document. I must read you a couple lines. And the document is dated the 19th of September, and it goes to all commercial tenants. It says, we are writing to inform you of an important change that will affect your lease agreement with the National Housing Corporation. The government of St. Lucia has recently implemented a new health and citizens security levy effective 2nd of August 2023. As a result, there will be a corresponding adjustment in your monthly rental amount before VAT. It's there. National Housing Corporation. The implementation date is the 1st of October 2023. Only in a matter of days that tenants of the NHC will have to pay increased prices for renting from the National Housing Corporation. And that's what we have to confront in this country. That's why these town halls are so important. These town halls are important because as they mess up in this country, we have to mobilize ourselves. We have to march. We have to campaign. We have to make our voices sound loud so that we can be organized, so that when the next election comes, that the United Workers' Party, the Flabo train, will be sailing into the finish line of victory. That's why these town halls are so important. And so I want to congratulate you, the members of the United Workers' Party. I remember that after the 2021 defeat, it was very, very, very difficult for us. We saw our party demolished. And they thought that by a 15-2 victory, that they would bury us alive. But you know what, Mama Flabo? It didn't take WhatsApp groups like the Flabo Train and the Flabo War Room. It didn't take citizens from all over this country to mobilize themselves, to start their own talk shows, to keep hanging whatever semblance of yellow left on the roof. It didn't take you, the people of Choiseul, to say, look, don't blame me, I didn't vote Labour. It didn't take us long to ensure that we organize ourselves. And so the movement was started by you, the members of the United Workers' Party, and for that you deserve to give yourselves a round of applause. So we must go around this country. We must continue to make our voices sound loud. We must call out the hypocrisy of the Labour Party as they put a tax on the bags, as they put a tax on shoes, as they put a tax on photocopying services. Could you imagine? Photocopying services, your child needs to do an SBA, even that school assignment, the Labour Party is now taxing. Mama Flabo, is that correct? Is that fair? Is that right? They are putting a tax even on female hair, on wigs and weaves and braids. They are even taxing walking sticks. An old man that needs to aid his mobility to get a walking stick, the government is taxing a walking stick. This is how heartless they are. I remember that when they implemented VAT, they put the VAT on funerals. They were taxing even the dead. And it took a caring United Workers' Party government to come into government, and we removed the VAT on funeral. We reduced the rate of VAT, because the rate of VAT at 15%, just like this 2.5%, was proving to be too high on the backs of the people of this country. And what we thought we had to do was to give you, the people of St. Lucia, a bit of ease, to ease you from the pain that you were feeling. Because the United Workers' Party government understands that the way to tax yourself is to put on a tax when the economy is good. Right now, the economy for a lot of people is not good. The Labour Party has slowed down this economy from the good momentum they've had from the United Workers' Party. And look at how they have mismanaged the construction sector. Look at all the projects that they have stopped. And while the economy shows that we have had a rebound, it's basically just recovering from COVID. And so we haven't fully returned from the COVID lackluster economic performance. And so by coming now and implementing this tax, is going to kill small businesses, it's going to kill large businesses, it's going to kill the momentum that the United Workers' Party left and started. And this is why this tax is so dangerous. So we've got to speak out. We've got to let Philip J. Pear and the Labour Party knows that we are not impressed with their economic policy. We are not impressed by them stopping all of the projects which would have benefited the people of this country. All the projects that would have created jobs. We think of the Shock Housing Project. We think of the Talvan Housing Project. We think of the Rodney Bay Road. We think of community centers all across St. Lucia. We think of village tourism projects in Anse-Lorraine, village tourism projects right here in Choiseul, village tourism projects in Soufrière that they have stopped because these are projects started by the United Workers' Party. And so we cannot and we will not see this problem rectified until we remove this uncaring government, until we ensure that we go from constituency to constituency, from door to door, from neighbor to neighbor, and to say that a new day is coming, that the United Workers' Party is reorganizing itself, rebuilding itself, and getting stronger and stronger every day to take back this country from the failures of the St. Lucia Labour Party. That's what we've got to do. We've got to make sure that we do this. Because if we allow them to stay, St. Lucia, as Brian says, is going to get shorter than me. And we can't afford for St. Lucia to get shorter than me. We need St. Lucia to stand tall. And we must put back St. Lucia in the hands of a government with a vision, a government that cares, a government that knows what to do about cost of living. Look at what Flabo did while COVID was there. We didn't promise 1,500. We gave income support to 11,000 NIC employees. That's how you manage in a crisis. There were thousands of unregistered employees, taxi drivers, hairdressers, vendors who didn't have any NIC. But during the time of COVID, we never put on a 2.5% tax. We gave them income support. That's how you manage an economy in a crisis. We looked at our farming sector and we said to our farmers, look, that we know it's tough. We know that the hotels are not buying. We will give you support with seeds and with fertilizers. Will we give you subsidies so that you can produce, so that you can have a bit of a lifeline to survive? You mean to tell me that things are bad in the hotel industry? Things are low. We're seeing that there are 0 cruise ships. We are seeing that hotel employees are on rotation. The taxi drivers don't have as much trips. And Philip J. Pierre's solution to that is to put a 2.5% tax. This is how clueless he is. As a manager of this economy, Philip J. Pierre and the Labour Party are the worst economic managers the country has ever seen in the history of St. Lucia. And we must remove them. We must remove them with a government that has a plan. A government that can reconstruct and rebuild this country. A government that can take us into a promising future. A government that will care about all of our children. A government that will manage this cost of living situation better. A government that will manage crime better. A government that will manage the healthcare crisis better. That's what we need in St. Lucia. Mama Flabo, the Brado has to speak. I don't want to take too much more time. Thank you and good night.